Coming up on this edition of Southwest TV News. Following weeks of campaigning and an all-candidates forum, Swift Current residents went to the polls. A time for celebration and, in a sense, coming full circle for Everett Hindley, who worked alongside the former MLA and Premier for numerous years.
It's always the freeze thaw, so we're looking at some warm temperatures again.
As we look forward to the arrival of spring and milder temperatures, potholes are a common occurrence on local streets. And according to city officials, the winter weather plays a key factor in overall road condition. Putting on your seatbelt should be the first thing you do when you get in the vehicle. Yet many motorists and their passengers still fail to do so, while putting themselves at risk for a serious injury if involved in a collision. And therefore, why policing agencies and their provincial partners continue to stress the importance of buckling up. Thanks for joining us here today. Swift Current residents went to the polls for the 2018 by-election, and we now have a new MLA. Following weeks of campaigning and an all-candidates forum, Swift Current residents went to the polls and voted in favor of their new MLA in the by-election. And despite impressive numbers of over 1,600 ballots cast in the advance polls, only 5,100 of the registered 12,000 voters for the Swift Current constituency actually went to the polls overall. And once the preliminary results were tallied, Everett Hindley of the Saskatchewan Party received 3,776 votes, followed by Stefan Rumpel of the NDP with 1,243. Maria Lewins in the Green Party received 67 votes, and Aidan Roy of the Saskatchewan Liberals came in fourth with 49 votes. A time for celebration and, in a sense, coming full circle for Everett Hindley, who worked alongside the former MLA and Premier for numerous years, and is now carving out his own political career.
You know, it's pretty exciting, and it's humbling too to see, literally thousands of people mark an X beside your name on a ballot. I know when I actually sat there at the advance polls and I opened up that ballot for the first time, for whatever reason, that's when it became real. I don't know. It had not when I saw my name on a lawn sign or on a face on the side of my car, but when I saw my name on that ballot, that was something else. So to have all those people cast their support behind you, it just means so much.
Meanwhile, for the Saskatchewan NDP, this by-election served as a sense of rebirth for its party roots in the community, giving first-time candidate Stefan Rumpel a solid run in the campaign and a focus for the 2020 provincial election.
That group and that room, any disappointment I might have been feeling in this moment, it's just washed. They're amazing people, and the people of Swift Current are amazing people, and I think that as we continue forward, that it'll just continue to grow. The momentum from this campaign, I can't see it stopping anytime soon. We need those voices to be heard, and there have been enough people that feel like their voice has kind of been lost in the last years that it'll just keep growing, and we'll see what comes in maybe a year and a half. If you think 18 years of one party, if you think the Premier sitting here, that we were able to move that far in one moment, I think speaks volumes.
And now with his new role in place, Everett Hindley says the next several weeks will be busy as he plans to address the issues of Swift Current residents in the legislature.
For the most part, folks are pretty happy, but again, a couple of things that came up were the education thing, pressures in the classroom, and we started to make some movements on that. That was one. A carbon tax obviously is a pretty big issue here in Swift Current, right in the middle of oil and gas country. So there's a lot of folks that want to make sure we're continuing our opposition to that. And other issues I'd be looking to take forward on folks' behalf as well.
The spring session of the Saskatchewan legislature will open on March 12th, with the newly elected MLAs from Swift Current, Kindersley, and Melfort all taking their seats. And Election Saskatchewan will be releasing its final by-election results on March the 13th. After receiving all of the mail-in ballots for the 3 constituencies. The Step into Spring Home and Leisure Show is set for March 9th through the 11th at the Swift Current Stockade, featuring various vendors and on-site demonstrations for the whole family. Step into Spring, presented by the Swift Current Ag and X Association. City crews are preparing for another season of street repairs, with potholes in the spotlight. As we look forward to the arrival of spring and milder temperatures, potholes are a common occurrence on local streets. And according to city officials, the winter weather plays a key factor in overall road conditions.
It's always the freeze thaw, so you know we're looking at some warm temperatures again. Maybe it'll right around the 0 point. If it gets above 0 and we get into the +5 or +7, that has a major impact on the roads. That freeze thaw cycle is really hard on the pavement, and we experience a lot of potholes. So we've had some of that already this year. So we were out earlier patching potholes, and we expect we'll be doing that some more as spring comes along.
In the coming weeks, as more potholes come to light, city crews will be applying a temporary cold granular fill. And then once temperatures warm up for good, a hot mix of asphalt will be used to address all the issues. Failing to wear a seatbelt continues to be an issue in Saskatchewan. We have more in this report. Putting on your seatbelt should be the first thing you do when you get in the vehicle. Yet many motorists and their passengers still fail to do so, while putting themselves at risk for a serious injury if involved in a collision. And therefore, why policing agencies and their provincial partners continue to stress the importance of buckling up.
You know, we know most people do wear seatbelts, but the small amount of people who don't are highly overrepresented in traffic deaths. In 2016, there were 25% of the people the vehicle occupants who died in traffic collisions were not buckled up or not buckled in properly. So it still is a significant concern, and the numbers bear that out. In 2017, we saw, over 3,700 people getting tickets related to seatbelts or car seats, and that number is, entirely too high when you're thinking about the fact that the seatbelt has been the law since, 1977 here in Saskatchewan. There's been countless public service announcements and TV commercials over the years, and just, the fact is that the science bears out that there are you are far safer when you are buckled up.
And police hear a variety of excuses when pulling motorists over to the side of the road as to why they're not wearing their seatbelt. From having wrinkled clothing from the belt to only planning to drive a short distance and not seeing the need to buckle up. However, in the end, seatbelts save lives.
If somebody thinks, well, I can just brace myself if I'm in an accident, and no, you can't. You're not quick enough and you're not strong enough. I mean, nobody is strong enough. Coming to a sudden stop at 50 kilometers per hour turns a 70-kilogram person into the equivalent of a 1,400-kilogram projectile. That's the same impact as falling out of a 4-story building. The idea that you don't need a seatbelt because your vehicle has airbags. Well, airbags have never been intended to be the only restraint system used. They are a supplemental restraint system. People are much more likely to die in a collision if they are not wearing a seatbelt, even with airbags. If you're not buckled in, you could be injured, or you could be actually killed by the force of a deploying airbag.
According to numerous traffic studies, a lack of seatbelt use is common in rural and remote areas. And if you are caught not wearing your seatbelt in Saskatchewan, be prepared to pay a fine of $175, along with 3 demerit points, put against your safe driver recognition profile. For over 12 years, Southwest TV News has provided the visuals for the defining moments in our community. Support your community and help us to continue our work. Support our sponsors by watching the ads on YouTube and by clicking the ads on our website. Pennies per click, which will help us continue to bring you the award-winning news coverage you've come to expect from Southwest TV News. Well, this wraps up another episode of Southwest TV News, reporting the stories that matter to you. We always welcome your news tips. You can always reach us here by phone at our studio or by email to contact us at southwesttvnews.com. Also, be sure to join us daily online for the latest news from across Southwest Saskatchewan and so much more at southwesttvnews.com. And be sure to follow us on a range of social media. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Carol Andrews.